Hello boys and girls. Our story today is about a man called Samson. He was the strongest man that has ever lived. Once again, the Israelites started disobeying the Lord, so he let the Philistines take control of Israel for 40 years. Manoah, from the tribe of Dan, lived in the town of Zorah. His wife was not able to have children, but one day an angel from the Lord appeared to her and said, "You have never been able to have any children, but very soon you'll be pregnant and have a son. He'll belong to God from the day that he is born, so his hair must never be cut. Even before he is born, you must not drink any wine or beer or eat any food forbidden by God's laws. Your son will begin to set Israel free from the Philistines because of his great strength." And one day, as Samson reached the vineyards near Timnah, a fierce young lion suddenly roared and attacked him. But the Lord's Spirit took control of Samson, and with his bare hands he tore the lion apart as though it had been a young goat. His parents didn't know what he had done, and he didn't tell them. Wasn't he strong? Samson went out and caught 300 foxes and tied them together in pairs with oil-soaked rags around their tails. Then Samson took the foxes into the Philistine wheat fields that were ready to be harvested. He set the rags on fire and let the foxes go. The wheat fields went up in flames, and so did the stocks of wheat that had already been cut. Even the Philistines' vineyards and oil orchards were burned. Some of the Philistines started asking around, who could have done such a thing? It was Samson, someone told them. It wasn't long before the Philistines invaded Judah and set up a huge army camp at Jawbone. The people of Judah asked, "Why have you invaded our land?" The Philistines answered, "We've come to get Samson. We're going to do the same things to him that he did to our people. We came here to tie you up and turn you over to them," the men of Judah said. "I won't put up a fight," Samson answered, "but you should promise not to hurt me yourselves." Then they tied up his hands and arms with 2 brand new ropes and led him away to the Philistines. The Lord's Spirit took control of Samson, and Samson broke the ropes as though they were burnt cloth. Samson looked around and spotted the jawbone of a donkey. The jawbone had not yet dried out, so it was hard and heavy. And Samson grabbed it and started hitting the Philistines. He killed 1,000 of them with the jawbone of an ass. After the fighting was over, he made up this poem about what he had done to the Philistines. "I used a donkey's jawbone to kill 1,000 men. I beat them with this jawbone over and over again." Samson tossed the jawbone to the ground and decided to call the place Jawbone Hill. It is still called that today. Samson was so thirsty that he prayed, "Our Lord, you help me win the battle against a whole army. Please don't let me die of thirst now." And God sent water gushing from a rock, and Samson drank and felt strong again. Samson was the leader of Israel for 20 years, but the Philistines were still the rulers of Israel. But nobody wanted to have a fight with him, not after killing a lion with his own hands. One day, while Samson was in Gaza, the people who lived in Gaza found out that he was there, and they decided to kill him at sunrise. So they went to the city gate and waited all night in the guard room on each side of the gate. But Samson got up in the middle of the night and went to the town gate. He pulled the gate doors and doorposts out of the wall and put them on his shoulders. Then he carried them all the way to the top of a hill that overlooks Hebron, where he set the doors down, still closed and locked. Imagine the people surprised to find their gate missing. Sometime later, Samson fell in love with a woman named Delilah, who lived in Surek Valley. The 5 Philistine rulers went to Delilah and said, "Trick Samson into telling you what makes him so strong and what can make him weak. Then we can tie him up so he can't get away. If you find out his secret, we will give you 1,100 pieces of silver." That's each of the 5. That's 5,500 pieces of silver. Finally, Samson told her the truth. "I have belonged to God ever since I was born, so my hair was never cut. If it were ever cut off, my strength would leave me, and I would be as weak as anyone else." Delilah had lulled Samson to sleep with his head resting on her lap. She signalled one of the Philistine men to cut off Samson's several hair bands. And when he had finished, Samson's strength was gone. The Philistines grabbed Samson and poked out his eyes. They took him to a prison in Gaza and chained him up. Then they put him to work, turning a millstone to grind grain. And poor old Samson, blind and alone, he repented and asked God to forgive his mistakes, and God did. But they didn't cut his hair anymore. It started to grow back. The Philistines' rulers threw a big party and sacrificed a lot of animals to their god Dagon. The rulers said, "Samson was our enemy, but our god Dagon helped us capture him." Everyone was having a good time and they shouted, "Bring out Samson! He's still good for a few laughs." The rulers had Samson brought from the prison, and when the people saw him, this is how they praised their God. "Samson ruined our crops and killed our people. He was our enemy, but our God helped us capture him." Then they made fun of Samson. The young man was leading Samson by the hand, and Samson said to him, "I need to lean against something. Take me over to the columns that hold up the roof." And Samson prayed, "Let me die with the Philistines." And he bowed himself with all his might, and the house fell upon the lords of the Philistines, and upon all the people that were there, about 3,000. And he slew more in his death than he slew in his life.